マルチメディア時代のパソコン FM Towns 富士通。
Hey everybody, welcome back to video game Esoterica. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, released in 1992 by LucasArts for the PC. It was ported over to the FM Towns and the FM Towns Marty as well. Interestingly enough, all 4 of the LucasArts adventure games that are available on the FM Towns are in full English. If they have voice acting, the voice acting is in English, and they have an option for complete English text. So these are 100% playable from an English-speaking perspective, even though the games are never actually released outside of Japan. As far as this game is concerned, it is one of the seminal adventure games of the 90s. I played this game from start to finish multiple times growing up, and playing it through for this playthrough, I definitely will be going back and continuing the entire game to beat it once more. Ooh. You do need a working floppy drive to save on the FM Towns, and I didn't have a disc formatted, so I didn't get too far into the game. Just got enough for the gameplay and kind of talk about it here with you guys, but I will be going back around and playing a little bit more for sure. So if you want to pick up this game, I actually recommend you go on Steam and download it there. It is $6. To buy a copy for the PC, original big box, you're going to be about $150, which is quite expensive for a very well-known PC release. For the FM Towns, you're going to be between $500 and $650. So this is the most expensive way to play this game. It is the best version of the game, as far as graphics, sound, and options are concerned, but it's probably not worth, if you bought it for $500 versus the $6 on Steam, save the $494 and buy it on Steam for sure. But basically how the story goes is you are looking for a certain figurine, and we'll be seeing why shortly, but you kind of just bumble around through these offices and storerooms trying to find what you're looking for. Kind of sets up the comical nature of the game. Both the first Indiana Jones adventure game and this one, definitely they have serious notes, but there is a lot of comedic undertone to it, so it's something that kind of like plays back and forth with serious and funny at the same time. Kind of like the movies themselves. Yeah, you were fighting Nazis at certain points in time, but there was definitely a lot of laughs to be had. But I'll let you guys watch a little bit of the story here just so you can catch up and see what's going on, and then we'll come back with a little bit more gameplay and talk more about Indiana Jones.
I'm back. Indy?
You don't look at all well, Dr. Charles.
Exploring our collections can be dangerous, Mr. What was your name again?
Smith. Tell me, did you find a lock to match my key?
You bet I did. Take a look. My word, Indy, a small metal bead. Jewelry, perhaps? I hope you've got a getaway car waiting. You'll need one.
What is Fritz?
Alright, so the bad guy is going to get away here. I do have to cut the story up just a little bit to get this video moving, but basically this launches the pursuit of trying to get the pearl that was in the bottom of that piece back. If you watch a little bit more of the story, they mention Iceland, and you're going to meet the female explorer, archaeologist, discoverer that was with you on that trip to discuss what's going on with her. So there are 3 different ways to get into the building here. You can convince the ticket taker to let you in, you can convince the doorman to let you in, or as I did here, you can push crates in a certain order to be able to go ahead and get up that fire escape ladder. It's how I did it when I was a kid, so I just did it the same way again. I enjoyed kind of that like push-pull puzzle, but you can, in this game, solve puzzles in multiple ways, and most of those ways make pretty decent sense logically. I know some adventure games, especially the King's Quest series, can sometimes have solutions that make no sense other than once you do it, you're like, okay, that kind of goes together. But in the Indiana Jones games, the solutions definitely follow logic, which I do appreciate that, whether you're using speech or if you're solving like an actual like physical puzzle to get through, it does feel very rewarding.
Are you
So once you convince the old man here that he wants to read a newspaper, which you would have found outside of the theater, I got it, but I did cut that portion out just because it is quite slow. He will start reading the paper after you try to go onto the stage once, and then he will vacate the premises. But you do get this kind of cutscene showing you more of the general background story. She is talking about Atlantis. As far as the story is concerned, she is a clairvoyant or psychic that can see where things are. So it's kind of like archaeology with that sort of, esoteric mythological flair to it, which Indiana Jones doesn't take too kindly to. But I'll let you guys watch what she's talking about, and then we'll come back with the rest of the gameplay.
The mighty spirits of Atlantis dared to build a city where knowledge and power were united in true happiness. Centuries later, the famous philosopher Plato wrote about it. He placed Atlantis on a continent out in the deep ocean and described how it was divided into 3 circular parts, such as you see here.
Alright, so now that you have a better sense of her overall storyline and character arc, what we're going to do here is we're going to use that ghost on that string to be able to interrupt her show so that we're actually able to talk to her. I remembered this solution as well. It's really funny, having played this game so long ago, how some of the puzzles are just deeply ingrained in my head. It's kind of like playing Grim Fandango again. I know pretty much every solution in that game, even though I only play it once every 5 years. It just had such an impact on me when I was playing it through the first time. I knew push the left lever, push the right lever, push the button, and that ghost goes out on the stage. Don't ask me how I remember that, but that is the solution to the puzzle. As far as whether or not you should play this game, absolutely 100% play this game. We don't get near enough adventure games anymore. The PlayStation 4 remaster of Grim Fandango was super exciting to me. Played that through start to finish. I own the original Grim Fandango as well, but anything LucasArts adventure game, if you like adventure games, you absolutely have to play it. If you don't love adventure games, you owe it to yourself to go ahead and make an attempt to see whether or not you like it, because all of these games are extremely good. There's some of the classics from the early era of PC gaming, and when people talk about adventure games, they really are talking about this generation of games specifically. So I'll let you watch a little bit more, get a little sense of the story, and I'll come back just to close the video out. But like I said at the top of the video, definitely play this game. It's absolutely worth it.
Oh no!
Looks like Kerner got here first. Stay put. That's the second time Kerner slipped away. What does a Nazi spy want with old statues?
Have you seen the newspaper? Listen to this. Germans claim victory in worldwide race to smash the uranium atom. Chief scientist Dr. Hans Ubermann announces plan to harness new sources of energy for the Third Reich.
So if the stakes weren't high enough already, now you have the Nazi scientists splitting the atom. So it kind of sets up, obviously the Nazis are the bad guys more often than not. In the Indiana Jones movies, they are. And in the adventure games, they definitely are as well. The Nazi storyline is kind of more prevalent in the first adventure game in the Indiana Jones series. I would probably say that I like that one slightly better, although I did cover Fate of Atlantis for the FM Towns, just because I feel like that's a game that doesn't get talked about quite as much as the first game, but they both are excellent. But that Nazi storyline is just a little more prevalent in the first version of this game. The one downside of playing on the Marty versus using a mouse is that crosshair does kind of bounce around. You'll see me kind of seeking options, so it is a little bit touchy. So that's probably the one thing that I would say, any other system has as an advantage over the Marty, is that you can actually use a mouse. But really, it's a tiny downside. The biggest downside is just the expense of this game and the expense of the hardware. You'd be foolish to do anything other than pay that $6 to play on Steam. If you're a collector, go and get the original PC big box for $100, $120. That's kind of going to be the best option for you. So now that she has that pearl, she's going to put it in the necklace, and there is going to be what looks like a ghost coming out. I don't want to ruin the storyline for you, so I'm trying to tell you what is in the supernatural and what does have a more logical explanation to it. The game definitely plays in that perception of what Indiana Jones believes to be true versus what people around him believe, which is definitely something that movies exhibited as well. So I don't want to ruin it for you and tell you what might be reality and what might not be, but I just go ahead and play the game and you'll discover that on your own. Do wish we got more games like this. This was a seminal moment in adventure games. All the pixel art looks great. All the animations are amazing when Indiana Jones falls through the ceiling in the beginning and his hat kind of just comically floats down until it lands on his face. There's definitely a lot of care put into this overall game, and it's something that I feel like modern adventure games lack a little bit. We do still get some good adventure games, but as far as the whole like mise-en-scène and story elements and visual elements that make up that world, I would say that LucasArts is doing a better job in the 90s than anybody else did at any other point in time. But that's about it. I'm going to probably cut the gameplay right here. They're just going to go to Iceland, and that's where the rest of the game is going to start. So definitely check it out. Otherwise, if you just go down below and hit the thumbs up and subscribe button, we really appreciate it. It takes us a lot of work to make each one of these episodes, and the like and subscribe definitely help us out. You can follow us on Instagram at Chicago Game Collector. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll do my best to answer each and every one of them. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week with another episode on the FM Towns Marty and another fun game. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great weekend and bye-bye.